Welcome to Two Across, the podcast where two friends, usually on opposite sides of the Atlantic, catch up over a crossword. I'm Theo in London.
And I'm Rob in Nepal. This is the second week where we've had to torque our intro. Last week it was that we'd become three across, and now it's that we're not sitting on opposite sides of the Atlantic. And I think we've been through this. What bodies of water lay between us. So anyone who wants that, go back to last season when I was last in Nepal, and you can get the rundown of the various seas that sit between us. We won't do that again.
Helpfully, I think the word Nepal is in the title of that particular episode, so it's very easy to find. But yeah, nice that you are back there in your slightly weird time zone.
Yes, 5 hours and 45 minutes ahead of the UK, and currently 9 hours and 45 minutes ahead of my home location of Montreal. Why they went with the extra or less 15 minutes is, I think it's a middle finger to India. It's, we're going to be 15 minutes off you. Take that.
Yeah.
You don't own
us. Why not?
Yeah.
I'm sure I wouldn't be surprised if Trump is adjusting the US time zones by 15 minutes anytime soon.
If he doesn't, I think Canada does. We should do it as a retaliatory measure. Or like, we're going to take 15 minutes
That is how you
off.
should do it. Yeah, just for the hell of it.
Yeah.
Now, we've got a lot to talk about here because obviously quite a bit has been happening in Canada recently, not least you having a new Prime Minister.
True.
Do you want to start there? And I would also like to talk to you about being in Nepal, but we can maybe get onto that a bit later.
Well, Nepal's old hat for our podcast now. I think this is our third dispatch from the
Fair point.
Former kingdom of Nepal. But I will give some updates on that. But yeah, let's jump right into the politics that we can never seem to avoid on our seemingly apolitical podcast.
Yes, true.
It was just supposed to be gentle crossword fun, but yeah, anyway.
Yeah, a bit of wordplay to distract you from the minutiae of global politics, and instead it's just become two grumpy blokes ranting about politics. So because there aren't enough podcasts that do that already.
No.
So yeah.
The space is far from full.
Yeah, it's true.
Yeah.
We're far from saturated with vaguely left-leaning liberal types, pissing into the wind about the issues of the day.
So here's the pissing into the wind. So our new technocrat man king, Mark Carney, if he retains his premiership, will have the most almighty job of pissing in the wind that any Canadian prime minister has been assigned, certainly in my lifetime. Because the winds blowing from the south are incredibly strong, and us being 1/10 of the size of the US population, or maybe 1/9, and less than that economically, it means that Trump's belief that he can kind of manhandle us as he would like to is not entirely inaccurate. America has the capacity to bring us to our knees, and we know it. It's not a great situation to live in. I think New Zealanders might be able to identify with that. Or actually the people of Nepal, I spoke to them about some friends last night that had me over for dinner. And it is very much like their situation with India. India, notably when Nepal updated their constitution after the Civil War, Nepal decided to become basically secular, not a Hindu state. Because of course Nepal has Buddhists and Hindus and animists and so forth. And India punished them for that. They made a small trade embargo for a period of time to show Nepal that they were unhappy with that decision. So anyway, that's a little segue unrelated to Mark Carney. So coming back to him, his first salvo of pissing in the wind came during his victory speech, which I watched a bit of when I woke up in the morning on Monday, which is when I got the news. But everyone knew it was going to happen. I think he won 85% of the votes, so it was not even a competition. I think everyone sees him as that safe pair of hands. He led the Bank of Canada during the financial crisis. He just came in at the beginning of that. And then he was obviously the Bank of England during Brexit. And he was quite public for a central banker in that period. Central bankers usually take a back seat. So people in the UK know him well. In fact, I watched an interview with him on the rest of his politics with Alistair Campbell, who apparently is a friend of Mark Carney's. They know each other.
Of course.
But obviously, very known figure to Brits and politicos in Britain. So his first pissing in the wind was his speech where he said, if you're going to take us on a trade fight, good luck, because in trade fights, like in hockey, we win. And again, it was cute. It was cute. But the reality is that it's going to be a tough job. It's going to be a long-term proposition for Canada to find a way to diversify our trading partners. And Canadians look at it as a disaster, because they say the US is 85% of our 90% of our exports, and it's so dependent and so forth. But I always think, what about Australia? They don't have a US at their border. Their trading partners are global. Their economy is comparable to Canada's, and they seem to be doing quite well. So all to say that you don't need to have an economic behemoth on your doorstep in order to be economically successful as a country. And Canada needs to think of itself a bit more like in Australia and think, okay, we have ports, as the politicians like to say now, on three oceans. One of them not being particularly valuable in terms of exporting your commodities, that being the Arctic. And we have trading relationships, such as a free trade deal with the EU. So I'm kind of in Carney's camp a little bit, because he has the globalist credentials, he has the ties to Europe, and Canada's long-term pivot, and it's going to hurt in the short term, but it has to be to think beyond the US market, recognize that they're part of the mix, but the bigger picture is extending and growing relationships elsewhere outside of North America and making Canada great again. So there it is.
It's kind of an enforced Brexit, isn't it? In a sense,
yeah.
It's a Brexit that's being forced upon you, rather than one that is being willingly entered into by the population. And as a result, as you say, it could have positive benefits in that Canadians will become more self-confident, or more self-reliant, I should say. There's also this theory that Trump is trying to turn Canada into the 51st state and
he said
use
it.
tariffs as a kind of state, which he's been overt about. But surely, there's a tactic to try and get Canada into the tent. This is a very strange one to choose, and as many people have pointed out, would have very self-defeating ends for him, because of course, if Canada did gain some kind of voting power in terms of American democracy, the Republicans can pretty much forget it. They'll be out of power for decades.
Such as they're presently constituted, yeah.
Such as they're presently constituted. But either way, it's just the whole thing around the tariffs, because the tariffs have just come into force in Europe today as well. Yeah. So we're feeling it over here. The UK has so far said it's not going to retaliate, but that's a whole nother thing. But the whole thing it's crazy. It really is crazy. And it is probably going to tip the US into some kind of a recession. It's certainly not going to bolster them economically. And that's kind of the one thing that Trump always said he was going to do when elected, was make America at least economically great again. And of course, he's going to do the exact opposite. I don't know. It's also batshit mad that I don't know how much there is. This is not what this podcast is for either. I don't think we should fall into any kind of extensive political analysis, because that's not what we do, and it's not what we're qualified to do. But all of to say, it's clearly crazy. I think at some point the rest of the world, already the rest of the world is quietly untethering itself from the United States.
But I don't think that's a bad thing.
No,
I really
don't think it's a bad thing necessarily.
I think Trump is forcing on the world what the world needs. And when we say the world, the reality is we're talking about, at least I'm talking about, industrialized OECD countries that have trading relationships with each other. Like what I find very interesting of late is these sort of G6 meetings that are starting to happen. And Ukraine is catalyzing that. There's all the meetings around Ukraine security, and it's Europe plus Canada. It is literally the G6 without Japan. Sitting down and talking about how we can collaborate around the issues that of common concern. And I think that is likely to continue. And that's back to Carney, why I like the idea of a Carney, because he has those linkages, and he's someone that can certainly, I think, convoke that kind of dialogue and help to drive it forward. And he said that. He's as much as said that. That's his objective. And I think ultimately, if we do that, because we see the world similarly, the G6, much of the European Union, Canada, South Korea, Australia, New Zealand, Japan, we see the world similarly. And so I think if we work together fairly closely and accept that America, for the time being, has decided not to participate in that anymore, it would be very interesting to see what we could do, because in the reality of the fact, and not to alienate our American listeners, America is the outlier. they're very different. What we call social democracy, they call communism. And there's a lot of practices that are common in America, gun ownership, non-socialized healthcare, that are anathema to the rest of us.
Yeah.
And so we do see the world differently than we always have. Now, Trump is garishly revealing those differences, but they've always been there. And I think this is an opportunity for us to maybe take a bit more pride in who we are and to advance our values without always having to ask America's permission. And Crisitunity, as they say.
Well said. And good word, Crisitunity.
I thank The Simpsons for that. That's a Homerism.
Yes.
I can't take full credit.
Very good.
So Theo, you've got a few pins.
I do have a few pins. I was just going to say, let's drag ourselves away from the global political shitstorm and put the focus firmly back where it should be, which is on our crosswording efforts. Or maybe the focus should not be there, given our risible attempts in the last few episodes. But
Maybe we've given people a laugh, though.
well, you know what? Make 'em laugh, I think is very much the way to approach this. So last week, obviously, we had Martin on, who was a fantastic guest, and many thanks again to him.
Yeah.
One area of wildlife knowledge that did elude him was the detail of giraffe markings and what denotes a female
yes.
or a male, and this came up in relation to the
Bobette.
mural Bobette that he drew on our wall, which I was going to share. I'll share a photo on our social media, but I cannot do that because we have left X in protest at
Take that, Musk.
At Musk. Yeah, take that, Musk. We'll take our 12 followers elsewhere. I mean, our 120,000 followers elsewhere.
Just for listeners' information, Theo and I had a really deep discussion on this, a heart-to-heart midnight session, and it was between firebombing a Tesla dealership and getting off X. And it took us a while to settle on getting off X, but that's what we've done.
Yes. Just to tie things up legally, we definitely decided not to firebomb a Tesla dealership. So that wasn't
Please don't
us.
sue us.
Yeah. So I have researched female giraffe markings, and apparently the telltale sign of a female giraffe versus a male giraffe is you look at the horns. Now, both males and females have the horns, which are called ossicones. I think that's how it's pronounced, ossicones. And on the males, the ossicones are usually bald because, of course, they're so busy rutting with each other that they wear the hair off them. Whereas on the females, the ossicones are still covered in fur because they're sensible and don't spend their time
Tussling and
ramming them into other giraffes.
in homoerotic behavior.
Indeed. So that's how you tell. And my daughter was right. Our giraffe has... clearly has hair on the ossicones, and therefore Bobette is the correct is the correct naming of said giraffe, because she is a female.
So I think you have a future naturalist on your hand, Theo, because I don't think many 10-year-olds were going to pick that up.
Perhaps I do. Who knows? Anyway, hopefully Martin is listening and will approve of my rare foray onto his patch. Next up, Eric Ambler, the author we were unable to name, but I did do a little bit of research into him, and he's big in the thriller writing world, and his best-known novels include The Mask of Demetrios and The Light of Day, which was adapted into the film Topkapi, which I've never seen, but was apparently quite a big deal back in the 60s.
All right.
And he also wrote the screenplay for A Night to Remember, which is the old 50s film about the Titanic. So,
All right.
There you go.
So there's a quick amble through his biography.
A quick amble through Ambler. Finally, why toilets on ships are called heads. It is basically, I was right, it is because it's at the head of the ship. But the interesting thing I hadn't made the connection between is this dates from way back when, the sort of earliest days of sailing, when the ships would have literal figureheads. And so the head of the ship was so called because there was an actual head there. So there you go. That's a little... Oh, and connected to that, reefer jackets. So reefer jackets date back to the 18th century, and the origin and the name is quite straightforward because they were worn by sailors when they were furling and unfurling the sails, which is also known as reefing. So there you go, Rob.
There you go.
I'm sure I can tell from the silence there that you're just so awestruck by the depth of my research.
You're a fountain of knowledge today, Theo.
Fountain of utterly pointless knowledge. Anyway, shall we, without further ado, give ourselves some more pin material by moving to this week's challenge?
Yes. Source of maybe 24 pieces of utterly useless knowledge coming up.
Let's go to the crossword, because crossing words is fun.
Okay, I'm going to give the instructions while you call it up. For people who listen a lot of time,
Yes.
This is where you get to fast forward about a minute. Press that little 10-second button 6 times. We do this sight unseen. We are using the Guardian Quick Crossword 17,113. We will provide a link in the show notes, and you can also look for that on your favorite search engine of choice. We have half an hour to do this. Theo will be setting a timer imminently, and we try to get this thing solved, but have been having some considerable trouble recently with this setter. So let's see what we can do with it today. Theo, did I miss anything?
No, I don't think so.
All right.
Only to say that the scores are 13-7?
Yes.
Or maybe 14-7. Depends what episode number this is.
We're 21.
Okay, so then we're 13-7.
Yeah.
13-7 down.
It just hurts.
I mean, that's pretty bad, isn't it?
Yeah. Bleak.
But nevertheless, from tiny acorns or something.
Yeah.
Although having said that, we're getting close to a point where it will literally become an insurmountable gap.
Yes, because summer's coming and our annual pause will loom large in a month or two's time.
I've just realised I completely neglected a point of business, but I think maybe we save it to the end.
All right.
We had a lovely email this week, which has
did.
really gladdened our hearts. So
We might need gladdening at the end of this.
we might need some gladdening. It's a very good point. Right. Timer is off. We're on Quick Crossword. Did you say this already? Number 17,113
That's it.
today.
Yeah.
So let's get to it.
Theo, I think I can get us one across, which is really long. You want to read it out?
It is a biggie.
It is
yeah.
a biggie.
Black hornless cattle breed originating in Scotland,
Yeah.
which must be the Highland something.
That's one.
No?
That's one, although I think the
Go
one
on.
I'm thinking might be horned. I didn't see hornless. I was thinking Aberdeen Angus.
Oh, that's a good guess.
Yeah. I don't know.
I
though.
prefer yours to mine. I should know my cows, having grown up on a Northumbrian farm, but my guess was, I mean, I think Highland cattle is just, that's how you refer to, that's a more generic term rather than a specific breed, I think. So Aberdeen Angus is a very good guess there. And I think, look, let's assume it's hornless. We don't know any other Scottish
No.
cattle breeds.
I think they're shaggy, aren't they shaggy?
Yeah, Highland cattle generally are shaggy.
Yeah.
But they are also horned. So maybe
That's the thing.
yeah, maybe I mean, who knows? We'll find out at the end of the show. Oh, I think I can definitely prove the concept.
Good.
Because 2 down is unchallenging music, which is 4-9
Starting with the letter
E. If Aberdeen Angus is correct. So presumably that would be, have you got this guess as well?
I don't know what your guess is. You have to tell me.
Easy listening?
Yeah, I think that's great. Ooh, listeners, we have just tackled 2 clues that span the entire crossword. Now, pride goeth before the fall, but I'm feeling a bit of pride right now.
Yeah. This augurs well,
This augurs
as
well.
they say.
Should we try just for
Easy
fun?
listening, by the way. Can I just say, if I ever made music and it was put into the genre of easy listening, I would immediately stop making music.
Yes, I think so. I think so.
It just doesn't denote good stuff, does it?
No.
Really? You'd never say at a party, "Oh, we make music." Oh yeah, what kind of music do you make? Oh, like easy listening. Oh, right. Fair enough.
You need to be balding and have like curly hair on the sides to be making easy listening. I think that's.
But even if you made easy listening, I think you'd still be in denial about the fact you made easy listening.
They've
wouldn't you?
miscategorized us. We've been misunderstood. This is not easy listening.
Exactly.
This is hard, challenging listening.
Okay, here's another one I think that might be a right across the border.
Okay.
Which is 6 down. And it's what we remember on a day in November, 9/4. And it begins with G.
Yep.
So that would be, you've got it, it's the gunpowder plot.
The gunpowder plot.
Oh, sorry.
No, it's good. I was thinking Guy Fawkes, and I was like, that's not going to work. And then as you called it out again, the gunpowder plot.
Yeah.
So exciting. Should we go for the last super long one? Because there are 4 crossword spanning clues. And if we got all 4, we could literally... Should we try it?
That would be very, very satisfying. Let's try it. Are you looking at the bottom one?
I am. 22 across. It is 7 letters, 6 letters. And the clue is long-haired sporting pooch. And I think I might have a guess.
I think I've got the... No, I haven't got it. Go on.
Okay, so the 3rd letter of the first 7-letter word is G. And the 4th letter of the 6-letter word that follows it is a T. Now, what I think could fit there... Oh, go on.
Is it something setter?
I think it's something setter. Now, the crossword setter would mislead us by thinking, because an Irish setter, for instance, is a very known breed. But could there be an English setter, Theo? Because that would fit with our G.
There is an English setter. Absolutely there is. Well done, Rob.
And presumably the clue was thought of by an English setter.
Oh, he's telling us something. Or she.
He is.
We don't know.
She. That's right.
Mysterious,
the mysterious setter.
Identity of the...
With whom we duel every week. Our virtual Moriarty.
Our virtual Moriarty, that's exactly what they are. Yes. This is it's suddenly all making sense.
It is making sense.
This is what this podcast's all about. We're just, doing weekly battle. Well done. Now that means we've got the top across, the bottom across, and two left and right downs. So
this is exciting.
We should be well placed to absolutely smash this.
We have a lot of letters on a lot of clues. I don't think there's a single clue where we don't have a letter. I'm looking at that right now. There is not a single clue where we don't have a letter. So Theo,
this is uncharted territory.
Not to put pressure on us, but I think we've got to solve this today. We've got to pull up our socks.
We do. With no messing. This is just that we've got to get this, because otherwise we really are in the danger zone of losing touch with any hope of victory. So 7 down. Let's do an easy one, which I hope is an easy one. Because 7 down is 1 doing operations in theatre, 7 letters, beginning with the last S of Angus.
Yeah.
And I don't think we need to patronise people by spelling that one out. But
Weird Al sang about it once to the tune of a Madonna song, Like a Surgeon.
Touched for the very first time.
I think it was cut for the very first time.
Cut for the very first time, of course.
Yeah.
Oh, Weird Al.
Yeah.
Yes.
Gotta love Weird Al.
I used to listen to a lot of Weird Al as a teenager.
Oh my gosh, my kids love Weird Al. It's amazing that he's managed to span multiple generations, but he's still going strong.
True.
Yeah.
Yeah.
My kids are particular fans of Amish Paradise.
Oh, been spending most of my life living in an Amish paradise.
Yeah.
Yes, that's one I remember.
Yeah.
My
youngest can actually do.
Right now,
youngest can do them all. It's terrifying.
That's brilliant.
Yeah.
That's what childhood is about. It's about learning the full lyrics to songs, knowledge that will ultimately prove completely useless in the kind of global race, but will make you cool at parties.
That's important.
Okay, 5 down, a rare science one that I can get, which is with a pH below 7, 4 letters beginning with A. So that would be an acid, presumably.
Thank you, Aberdeen Angus, because we could have thought base, but Aberdeen Angus ruled that out.
Aberdeen Angus was a great get. A great get.
And it's a fine Scottish cow.
It is.
Yeah.
I thought those stakes were too high, but you...
oh, Theo. Oh, that's... Oh. Well done.
Oh, so just absolutely stunk up the podcast there with that one. Apologies
Fortunately,
to everybody.
I'm far enough that I can't smell what's happening in your living room, Theo.
just give that one a moment.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. Where do you want to go next?
Well, 9 across, and I don't know if I don't think I actually have this one. I thought I might for a second. One selling reams, reams, and is not a ream like a big roll of cloth. Is that not what a ream is?
That's what I would have thought, like a haberdasher.
What about a milliner?
A milliner.
But does that take two N's, Theo? Because we're jumping ahead of people in our excitement. It's 9 letters long.
I think it does. It definitely takes
Okay.
2 L's, and I think it could well take 2 N's.
Because
I think that's an exceptional.
If it's right, then but it could be a red herring, a red haberdasher. One selling reams, so it's 4 letters, I space N space R, 9 letters long. So we're gonna, listeners, we're gonna throw in milliner, and we're gonna see what happens as we proceed through the remaining clues.
You are right. The double N is questionable, but
it is.
Look, it's a good guess, so let's keep it.
Okay.
Could we test it with either 3 down or 4 down?
Yes. Yeah. See, this one throws me right off because
I know what you're going to say. Yeah. So 4 down, the clue is on cloud 9, 6 letters, and it begins with an E. So you would think, and it's 6 letters, that would be elated.
I think that would be elated. Because the L, otherwise for milliner, would be in the 3rd position. And that, to me...
let's cancel milliner, sadly.
Let's go. Oh, I'm so excited. Okay, well, you know what? We'll come back to it. What about rat, runaway, or renegade, starting with the letter D, 8 letters long? Oh, dear.
You dirty rat.
Yeah.
So, like a... Deserter.
No way.
Because they jump off sinking ships, don't they?
Oh my God, Theo. That is incredible. That's lateral thinking at its very best.
Well, what can I say?
Oh, Theo, here you go. One selling reams. I think I know it now. It starts with S. It's S space A space I space NER or N space R. But I'm assuming that's an E. Could it be a stationer?
A stationer.
Like, because reams of paper.
Absolutely could be. Well done. I'm really worried we're still going to get absolutely shafted by a couple of incredibly difficult clues because this is all going far too swimmingly.
Yes, completely.
Okay. But look, let's
keep going. Smithereens, that starts with A, to take the last letter that our Aberdeen Angus is providing in its benevolent shagginess. Smithereens, 5 letters long, starting with A. And I have a potential. I don't know if it's right.
Is it atoms? No.
That could be too. I didn't think about that. I was thinking ashes.
Oh, ashes. Like blown to smithereens.
Well, I think the S is definitely right because 10 across, which would take the S as its first letter, is on the payroll. 8 letters long, S space L space R space E space on the payroll.
So that would be salaried.
Yeah, I think so.
Sorry if you can hear a sort of salivating noise in the background. That's Zeus aggressively licking his own balls at my feet. So.
I think he's just so impressed with our performance right now that he's just pleasuring himself.
Yeah, that's exactly it. He's just joining in the... it's his way of showing pride in our achievements. So can we get 8 across then, which is special blank, 3 letters, which would be H blank S. So what could that be?
His, he's, has, HMS.
Special his?
Yeah, I know.
What?
His stuff is always special. So I think ashes is not right. What about your atoms?
Well, if it was atoms, that would be an O.
Yeah.
Special... Oh, special ops. It is.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Theo. Yes.
Yes.
Well done. Great. Okay. 11 across to basically complete the top part of the crossword. It is
Yeah.
a 4-letter word with an O in the second position and an E in the final position. And the clue is total snooze fest.
So I think we can get that one as well, can't we?
I think we can.
A boar.
A boar, which this crossword
Yeah.
is anything but.
That word always makes me think of the boar on the floor game from Succession, the family play.
I haven't seen it.
Oh, it's good. I think it's in series 1, so you don't have to watch too far into to find that episode. But anyway, it's a parlor game that would be enjoyed by Trump voters. Let's put it that way. I can imagine Vance and Trump getting. Anyway, let's not mention their names. 13 across. Go on.
13 across is
Anagram.
Yes, sir.
I realise there's no need for me to sing that because you already provide that musical note on with your lovely jingle. So yeah, that was pointless. But anyway, nice to see it back because it's been a few episodes since we've had one.
And maybe that's why we've been performing so poorly, is that we hadn't been cheered up by our anagram jingle. Listeners, not to worry, for today is a special day. And this anagram is staple, as in the thing that goes in a stapler, 6 letters long. We have an S in the third position and an E in the penultimate position. So space, space, S, space, E, space, for an anagram of staple. And I think I know what it is. Theo, do you have a
I was just going to say, I should get this one because it should be straightforward, but as always, my anagram abilities are nowhere close to yours.
Now, here's a sign that the setter is different, Theo, because the old setter, if it indeed there was an old setter, would always give you a clue plus the anagram. This setter, in the last few anagrams, has only given us anagrams, but without giving us a clue. So I'll give a clue. A type of thing to make art with, to draw with.
Rob, I'm
No.
still not getting it.
All right. I
And
no,
we're
so
over
now,
halfway through now, so...
Okay, we're getting into patronizing Rob time. It's a pastel.
Oh, a pastel, which also happens to be Martin's medium, pastel pencils.
Yes, that's
so
right.
One for him there.
For Martin.
Let's motor, because we don't want to let our witterings
Kill the
prevent
crossword.
us from actually getting this in the end.
Slay the golden goose.
Indeed. Sweet Nutty Confection is 13 down, and it's 7 letters. First letter P, ending in E. Sweet Nutty Confection. Oh, it's on the tip of my tongue, so to speak. I can't think of what it is. Let's try and get a few more letters.
Okay. Yeah. Why don't we go over to 14 across, because I think it's a pretty easy one. Blunt or make quiet. It's 6 letters long. We have a D in the first position. Third last letter D, space N. So D space space D space N for blunt or make quiet. Like you would do this to a room if you were an audio engineer and you wanted to make it so that the room did not echo. You would put a lot
like
of,
deaden.
to deaden, yes.
Yeah, nice. Okay.
Okay.
Oh, another anagram, 17 across. And there's a clue this time, Rob. It's muscle
man.
moving your shoulder, which is an anagram of clear top.
Oh, there you go, eh?
What's the one at the top of your arm called? It's not the bicep, obviously.
No, but it's moving your
fit the
shoulder. I
anagram.
think it would be on your back. Oh man, this is not immediately coming to us or to me. The third last letter is an R. Maybe we could just try to get the last letter of this, which is beer served cold.
Lager.
Yeah, it ends in L.
Sorry,
R.
I got that too quickly.
No, Theo.
Drink a lot of
You're
this
right,
stuff.
because we're taking a lot of time here. Why don't we just mop up 21 across, delay or convict, L space G.
Rather convict would be a lag.
Yes. I've never heard it lag in the context of a
I think it's very sort of Dickensian terminology.
okay. I've got our one.
Magwitch was a lag.
Oh, was he? Well, there you go.
Yeah,
Not a wag, a lag.
indeed.
Muscle moving your shoulder, Theo. Think front and think what Schwarzenegger would spend a lot of time working on. You know, for instance, if you're doing pectoral.
Yes.
Yeah.
Excellent. We have a lot of pectorals in our lives at the moment because we're watching the BBC series Gladiators as a family,
very
which
nice.
is absolutely hilarious and full of heavily pectoraled individuals.
Gentlemen.
So, gentlemen, indeed. Cool things like
Theo,
giant and yeah.
Given your
Go
love
on.
of fine cheeses, perhaps you might get this one. 12 down.
Indeed.
It is
12 down, yeah.
one with a developed appreciation of the finer things. It's 8 letters long. It's space E space T, 3 spaces, and then E. So second letter E, fourth letter T, 8th letter E.
What is that word, Rob?
It's not coming to me. Now I'm starting to.
Because it's not a gourmet, it's not a dilettante, because that doesn't fit.
Like I was thinking like
It's
an Epicurean or a...
Okay, let's try and get some more letters. Like a parrot, 20 across is 9 letters with the third letter I. I mean, that could be a lot of things, couldn't it?
Yeah, I think I have a suggestion though.
Go on.
Which is imitative.
Oh, lovely.
What do you think?
Yeah, I like that. Yeah, I really think that's a good guess. Yes.
Okay. Then we have to think about island east of Java, 19 down, 4 letters long, space A, space I.
This is your territory, but is it Bali?
It is Bali.
Great. Okay.
Okay, Theo, we got 4 clues left. None of them are immediately jumping out at me. This is where
and we
this
do
gets...
have 9 minutes, so we can afford to relax a little bit here.
Yes, but a little bit. No more than a little bit.
But only a little bit. Okay, let's I'll go through them just so everybody is on the same page. So
let's do that.
We need 13 down, which is sweet nutty confection, and that is 7 letters beginning with P, ending in E, and there's an I in the 5th slot. 16 across is it's the final word, 4 letters, third letter E. And then 15 down is decay, 6 letters, blank E, blank I, blank H. And then 12 down is one with a developed appreciation of the finer things, and that is blank E, blank T,
I think I know it.
blank E. Go on.
I think I know it, Theo. I think it's an aesthete.
Aesthete, yes.
Huh?
Like Oscar Wilde.
Yeah.
That's
like someone
excellent.
Who's into aesthetics.
Aesthetics, that's lovely. That is really, really good. 16 down this, 15 down this decay.
Yeah.
Because you could say perish would fit.
Oh, perfect. Perish, yes, like a
Does that
perishable
work?
food.
Yeah.
A perishable food
Okay.
decays, Theo.
Okay.
So good.
So that leaves us 2 things to get, which is final. It's the final word. 4 letters.
And I think I might know this. In fact, I think I know the last 2.
Rob, you shouldn't have said that. We could have built some drama.
Okay, wait, stop. Let's rewind. Okay, ready? Okay, these last 2 are really hard. We have a real challenge in front of us right now.
And we've only got 7.5 minutes, Rob.
Oh,
the
my
pressure's
God.
on.
The pressure is on.
Okay.
Deep breath.
Okay, so 16 across. It's the final word.
Mm-hmm.
4 letters, third letter E.
Third letter E.
I know you know this, but I'm going to try. I'm going to try and find it.
Theo, I don't know this. Remember, we just deleted all that part where I said I know this. Come on. Just
Of course you don't know. No, we're
get
both
with the program.
stumbling blindly in the dark. So, so final... Oh, no, Rob. Not seeing it. And sweet nutty confection. Oh, I know that one, though. I've got that. I have got that.
Let's have it.
Is it praline?
I believe it is.
Yeah.
It's also a flavor of ice cream, I believe.
Yeah, indeed. Which
So,
leaves
listeners,
the final one.
Can you solve this for us? If you can get us an email somehow in the next 7 minutes, which of course you won't be able to because this won't be released for several days. But if you could, we would give you the final word on this crossword, which is A space E space nothing. Because it's only 4 letters long. So,
and as a former chorister, I know
as a former
this too.
chorister.
And we have discussed our shared chorister past
We have.
previously on the pod, but it's nice. It's the perfect clue to end on, Rob.
It is.
Are we going to string it out, or are we just going to?
No.
Are we just going to say it?
I think we're going to give this to the people.
We're going to give this to the people. Amen to that, Rob.
Amen, brother.
Amen. Amen.
Before we get excited, Theo, this is your crossword.
Crossword of record. Yes.
Correct.
Okay.
So let us go through. We have the luxury of tiptoeing through all these clues in this wonderful grill that this gentle English setter has provided for us. And I'm looking across it, and I don't see anything where the spelling could be anything but what it is.
No.
There's really no... Yeah.
No, I don't think so.
So we ready to do the...
I think I am. The
Right.
only one... No, I was going to say the only one that is not a particularly common word is imitative, but even that, I mean, I think it definitely fits the clue, and
I think so.
The spelling is straightforward, isn't it? IMITATIVE. So yeah.
Yep.
Should we do it? Are we going to check all?
Let's do it.
I'll be so gutted if we haven't got it this week.
It will be the universe wounding our pride, but let's hope that the universe is benevolent today.
The universe is benevolent, Rob, because we are all correct.
Lovely universe that you are.
It's been a while since we've heard that sweet cucaracha.
It's been a while.
It's too long.
Stirring my appetite for a burrito.
Indeed. And with 5 minutes to spare, we've bought ourselves a little bit of chat time, which
we have.
I think we can see as being the bonus of solving the crossword early. Our listeners may not agree.
Well, I don't know, I think so maybe this is the opportunity to get to our email, Theo, because we had a very complimentary email from a listener, and that really brightened our day. So maybe I'll
Crosswords done. That was fun. Now let's have a chat.
And on a deadly serious note, maybe not deadly serious, but certainly on a note of genuine meaning and emotion, we are so grateful to any listener for reaching out to us and just letting us know that you're out there, because we do these podcasts mainly for our own enjoyment, but it's also lovely to think that there are people out there who do listen and go on this journey with us every week. And this, I think, is our first piece of sort of legitimate fan mail, if you can call it that, in that it came from somebody that neither of us know.
I know, it's incredible. The algorithm is starting to spread our words out there. But yeah, no, as Theo said, I mean, the fact that people are enjoying this as much as we are, or even a fraction of as much as we're enjoying it, makes it kind of fun for us. So thanks a lot. And I will read out, in fact, Theo, we got 2 pieces of email. I didn't tell you about the first one, which I wanted to wait till we were on the podcast because I don't know which one she's writing to, but Mrs. Maria Ivashenko from the Kherson Oblast in Ukraine has written us, I think, to become, friends. She does mention that we can still be friends with good people. And I think she's insinuating that we're good people that she could be friends with. Now, I was quite complimented by this, assuming, of course, that she was writing to me and not to you. But then I realized that she'd written it to us as well as undisclosed recipients, who is the other receiver of the email. So unfortunately, I think Mrs. Maria Ivashenko is casting a fairly wide net. So I will delete that from our inbox and move on to the other one.
You've let yourself down there, Maria. You would have definitely had us lured in with that message, but that's just a basic error of any spam message, to immediately flag to your recipient that many, many, many others have been in receipt of the email as well. So we'll park that.
Yeah, we'll park
get to the good stuff.
And we'll move to Kent Parkstreet's email. Who is actually a poet, and he did share a link to his poetry or to his site, and I read it, and it's really good. It was a sort of short story about 2 friends, and one of them had brought one friend to a house for an undisclosed reason, and the friend was asking, "Why'd you bring me here?" And then he went into a story about this is the house where his grandfather had last been before he set off for the First World War, and it was a lovely little short story, more of a short story than a poem, but anyway. Apropos de rien, as they say, but Kent said, "Gentlemen, a short note to say thank you for the show. I enjoyed each week, enough different and enough the same to be entertaining and comforting, a rare blend. We need both." And he encourages us to keep going and saying it's going to take a couple of years to build a podcast audience, but new listeners will stick, or your listeners will stick and the new ones will drift in. So thank you for that word of cheer, Kent, because it's nice to know that people are listening and that people are enjoying this, which is really cool because it kind of gives us the impetus to want to keep doing it.
Absolutely. A huge shout out to Kent there, and thank you so much for that note of encouragement, and also just great name.
Yeah.
As well. Was it Kent Parkstreet?
Kent Parkstreet. So if you do Google that, and you know what, Kent, we're going to throw your link unless you don't want us to cease and desist. I will write you after this. We might throw your link in the show notes that you share with us.
Yeah, let's do that. I did also, completely incidentally, used to live on Park Street in Bristol when I was a student there.
Did you?
So yeah, it's a very famous street in Bristol because it leads directly up to what's it called? The big tower that's the sort of landmark of the university. Yeah. So it has a really nice view and it's quite steep. So yeah, I used to live about halfway down it above a curry shop or a Indian restaurant called Chili's, I think it was called. So the flat used to smell of chicken korma, which was quite nice. I enjoyed that. But anyway, that takes me back. And yes, I think Kent Parkstreet is just a superb writer name. So well done. Whether that's a nom de plume or an original. Yeah, well played.
Well, see now, Theo, now I'm wondering if Kent Parkstreet isn't just the pseudonym of one of your friends from university.
Yeah, maybe this is all an elaborate wind-up and Kent Parkstreet is luring us in with praise and is then going to turn out to be some old nemesis of mine that has been bitter ever since I refused to buy them a chicken korma that night and is now wreaking their revenge. But we can tell ourselves that this is, well, as I say, our first piece of genuine fan mail, so that is very meaningful.
So we love it.
We do love
Theo, maybe revenge, unlike chicken korma, is best served cold. This fellow has waited 20 some odd years, 30 years almost, to exact this revenge slowly and tactically. We'll see.
I think you've just preempted the finale there, Rob. The payoff, if you will. By the by, I saw this week and reviewed this week, so you can read my review if you're so minded, a play about the...
Link it, Theo.
I will. I'll link the review. So the play was called The Habits by a young writer called Jack Bradfield, and it was set in a board game cafe, and the characters in the show were all playing a game of Dungeons and Dragons, which is not a game I'm particularly familiar with. Obviously, I know of it. But anyway, having seen this play, I have a bit more of an idea about what it involves. But it made me think of our podcast because it uses Dungeons and Dragons as a sort of vehicle for the development of these characters' relationships and for the unspooling of the narrative. And it made me think of our podcast and the way we use crossword as in a sort of similar way.
To unspool the narrative.
To unspool the narrative, indeed. And it was sort of in some ways, a love letter just to playing games as a way of both sort of escapism, I suppose, but also of kind of processing life and all of its infinite variety. So, yeah, I just wanted to mention that.
I thought the subject was about the author's various love affairs with nuns over the course of his life.
It's interesting you say that because actually something I didn't mention in my review, that the title is quite ambiguous in whether the habits refer to the habit of playing the game or they all sort of adopt various guises throughout the playing of the game. So it could be a reference to that. Maybe it's a Dungeons and Dragons terminology thing. Anyway, yeah, shout out for that production.
In a similar vein, there's a great Quebec movie called Farador, which is a similar theme. It's basically a bunch of friends who have been playing the same game of Dungeons and Dragons since they were in high school, but now in their 30s or something. But they've been playing it for something like 15 years. And they live in a house together and they continue playing this game while they're trying to hold down jobs and so forth. And, you know, the tensions because some of them are pulling away and one guy leaves the game because he gets a girlfriend and the remaining members are becoming increasingly embittered. And then this random guy who's the boyfriend of one of the guy's sisters shows up and he joins the game and basically kills them all. So he sort of comes on as a thief and he ends up drugging and sodomizing one of the people and then stabbing him. And I think the other people, he like steals all of their jewels that they've been accumulating for 15 years, And so these characters that they spent decades building up, they have like the highest magic points, violence points, charisma points, whatever you get in Dungeons and Dragons. He basically terminates their game in this orgy of sort of destruction. It's really funny.
Amazing. Wow. God, that escalated fast from your initial description. That's one thing about Dungeons and Dragons I didn't realise. They use this multi-sided dice, which I think counts up to anything to 20 or something, which is, quite remarkable. But I also hadn't quite appreciated the extent to which it's purely a game of improvisation, really. I mean, it's a sort of extended charades with different sort of prompts along the way, but you're basically it's just you and your imagination, which in this age of endless doom scrolling and AI algorithms and all the rest of it, I think is to be celebrated. Anything that is concerned primarily with active imagination should be rightly heralded and written about, because it does feel like imagination is somehow under constant bombardment these days from various sources.
As that Dutch band that wrote Barbie Girl sang, imagination, that is your creation.
Oh, what a wonderful link to Aqua.
Aqua. Thank you, Theo. I couldn't remember.
The oft underquoted Danish band Aqua, which still, I played that song to my kids quite recently, and like much of the 90s, on revisiting it, I realised just how enormously inappropriate and weird it is. But catchy. They knew their way around a hook.
Well, yeah, they did.
Come on, Barbie, let's go party. Yeah.
To hook listeners to our next episode, what are you up to between now and when we sit down again?
Good question. I'm going to be travelling up to Manchester this weekend partly because Kate has a conference there, but also her parents live there, so I'm going to be up visiting them. I'm also going to see my brother-in-law and my niece and nephew, and on Sunday I'll be staying there to watch the League Cup final, which features my football team Newcastle versus Liverpool.
Are Newcastle in it?
We are in it for the second time in 3 years. We're playing in the League Cup final, and last time we lost. This time we're probably going to lose again, but it's the hope, it's the hope, Rob, that kills you. So I'll be heading there with my Kevin Keegan era Newcastle shirt, because I refuse to wear one branded in the Saudi Arabian brand that they are currently sponsored by. But nevertheless, I'll be hoping for something there, because we haven't won a trophy since 1955. So,
oh my God,
needless to say,
not even the great
has been a while.
Alan Shearer could bring you a trophy, eh?
Not even the great Alan Shearer, who, despite being the Premier League's record goal scorer by about 50 goals, never won the Premier League with Newcastle. He did win it with Blackburn before joining us, but unfortunately wasn't able to bring the silverware to the Tynes. So anyway, that's my sort of immediate preoccupation. How about you? What's happening in Nepal?
Well, not much for me. I'm going to be up here at site, which is in the mountains, for the next 4 or 5 days. Tomorrow is Holi, apparently, so everyone's on holiday. And I have to watch out for people throwing random color at me, because apparently that is likely to happen. Someone said, you might want to bring some dirty clothes with you. I said, I didn't travel all the way here with my old clothes, So anyway, I got to dodge color bombs tomorrow.
Wow. That sounds cool. Yeah.
Yeah, not so bad. And then back to Kathmandu next week. And I'll be there until Thursday and then flying back. So I think we'll have one more dispatch from the field, this time hopefully in Kathmandu, where you can hear the delightful honking of cars in the background as we record that one.
Excellent. Yeah. Did you say that it was called Holi, the holiday? It's not just an abbreviation of holiday, I assume.
No. No. Sadly not.
But that sounds very very culturally stimulating, and you'll hopefully get some nice kind of National Geographic style photos out of it as well, of you covered in some colourful powders.
Yeah. Who knows if it's going to happen? Basically, a lot of people have left for the holidays, so there's not actually a lot of people here. It's quite quiet, which is why we have sufficient bandwidth to record this, because we probably wouldn't otherwise.
Yeah.
But yeah, we'll see. We'll see.
Your backdrop is very underwhelming considering your location. It's
pretty stark, eh?
Yeah, pretty sort of default office building, roof tiles.
Default kind of like container prefab construction camp. Which is basically where I am.
Well, have a good time. Do send some pictures, and good luck colour dodging. And we will reconvene.
Yes, and enjoy your time amongst the Mancunians.
And I will sign us off. Thank you very much for listening to Two Across, a podcast by Theo Bosanquet and Rob Cole. I would normally say you can find us on X at twoacrosspod, but you can't anymore because, as mentioned, we are no longer there. So we don't currently have a social platform, but we do have an email address, which is twoacrosspod@gmail.com. And like the lovely Kent and lovely and possibly not real Maria, you can reach out to us with your thoughts on the pod, and we would really love to hear that. So please do that and enjoy your weeks. We will see you next time. Bye-bye.